Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion. Also, Eva.ai, your virtual assistant that we sold, that was acquired by Vizier in Canada. Anyhow, we believe that at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to my incredible guest. Yuliya Raquel is a trailblazer in the apparel industry with over 30 years. You have 30 years with experience and a passion for sustainability and technology. As a CEO founder of Pattern Fest, she's revolutionized fashion manufacturing with AI-driven solutions that allow brands to launch collections in hours instead of months. Imagine that. Her expertise spans fashion design, merchandise, and brand marketing, earning her recognition in prestigious publications like Glamour and Forbes. She's a four-time award-winning designer, and her designs have adorned such events as the Oscars and Golden Globes. Through Pattern Fast, she continues to redefine ethical, sustainable, and rapid fashion production. With that, I'd like to bring Julia on board. Hi, Yuliya. How are you today?
Hello, Gary. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's what you're doing is amazing because unleashing the hyper personalization of fashion through AI and technology is really where we need to go because the as we look at it, the consumers really do crave individuality. The idea to be able to stand out in a competitive market is important. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Yulia. How did you get started? Um, and and how did you get to go to the Oscars? How did your fashions get to go to the Oscars?
Thank you. It's a great question. I started many years ago. Being an immigrant from Ukraine, Soviet Ukraine at the time, I've actually been designing my own clothing since I was 5 years old. So that was my very modest beginning. When I got to the United States in 1991, um, I realized that just given the amounts of clothing available, I had an aha moment and I said, oh, there's no way anybody needs any more clothing in this country. So I decided to go actually a different path, ended up studying pre-med, wanting to become a surgeon. In that path, unfortunately, didn't work out because I realized that the passion for clothing design exceeded greatly my passion for chemistry. And in 1995, I launched my own small studio and started outfitting local women. In 2000, I've discovered a huge need and niche for women women who were wearing plus size clothing didn't have adequate, beautiful apparel designed for them. And that's how my professional career launched. Again, a second time over from 1995. And I've started during the bubble, the e-commerce bubble when everything was collapsing. I've found a friend to fund a small website, and I've launched my e-commerce brand at that time. And just by exploring and looking at the gaps, looking at the needs of the consumer, I found that there's such a need for for apparel that empowered people. And just one by one, the word spread, and just in a few years, suddenly celebrities found out, plus size celebrities found out about me, and I was
What is a
flown.
plus size celebrity? I can't really figure that out. What does that mean?
A woman who just wears a plus size, like Gabrielle Sidibe, or women who are just more voluptuous in size. And believe it or not, that 74 million of American women actually do not fit standard sizes. And plus
Wow,
size women are just
that's
part of it.
amazing. So
It is a
so
huge number.
now, did they just call you up? How does it work with these celebrities? Did they just call you up and say, "Hi, my name's Gabriella. It's great to meet you"?
No, they don't work. They don't do that. They have usually stylists who work with them, and and by that time, my vision was to disrupt, to transform the way women are viewed. So we have created beautiful photography, beautiful ideas, and so there was a very distinct style presence, and that caught eye of women, especially women who were celebrities. So I would be approached by stylists, by representatives, and they would basically fly me, and I would
Now, did
dress.
you get to go to the Oscars and the
No,
Grammys and all that?
I was
Come
never
on,
invited.
well, be honest. I know you've gone. Come on.
No, no, unfortunately, I didn't. I was the behind the scenes person.
Now, so you went down and you did that, and what happened? So, do you still focus on plus size sizes, or what do you focus on today?
No, no, no. Plus, it was a fantastic learning experience. And being an entrepreneur in the industry, I had the privilege to be on every aspect, every side of of the process. We're starting from sketches and ideas, going into actually drafting patterns. And just to kind of clear up what patterns are the little pieces that, like a sleeve is a pattern, like so that they, once they're sewn together, they create a garment that actually fits a body. And so I draft those. I would manage production. I would manage every process that would need to be done. I was actually doing it on my own as well. Then my team expanded. And no matter how big my team was, the complexity was just as intense and very long and complex as it would be if I
Now,
were
why
doing.
is that? Because you have, like, 50,000 sieve designs, or how does it work? Does it really work that there's X number of sleeves, X number of pants, there's X number of shirts, and if you start combining them, this sleeve's a little tighter, this fits a little, for a guy, it's tight in the top, and the butt, in the stomach, it's looser because they want it to look more muscular. How does it work? Is there a finite number of patterns, and then when you mix them together, that's when you get the combinations?
So traditionally, this is actually the new concept. What you're talking about is a much more advanced option. Believe it or not, and even today, majority of companies, majority of brands, what they do and what I used to do as well, is simply take what we call it a basic pattern, which is a basic geometric draft of each of these pieces, right? Kind of that looks like a little bit of a similar concept of what my design is. Then a very skilled person, which is called pattern maker, pattern drafter, takes that basic block, what we call like a basic starting point, using a CAD technology, and manually moves every little bit of a point, every point a little bit based on formulas, based on geometry. It's a very complex process, and
Uh-huh.
slightly adjusting it to hopefully fit a body that they want to fit. After after they're finished with that pattern, they also, by the way, have to consider a fabric type, body measurements, body structure, of shape, etc. And then, so this takes about 4, 5, 6 hours just to take a basic block and make it into a new design. Manual. That's what I call manual CAD system.
So how
And
many? So how much do those people make that are doing those designs? What do they make a year?
oh, in United States, somewhere between 70 to $160,000.
So
It
70 to
depends.
160. Now, how much? So your system, how much better is it? How many of those people would it replace?
Oh, so ultimately, if a team, sometimes in a large brand may have like 4, 5, maybe 10 pattern makers in
Yeah.
house. Some are great. Maybe one or two of them are fantastic. The rest are so mediocre. So because we completely automated that process. Our system basically does what a person will do take hours. We'll do it in seconds. We'll literally do it incredibly
So how
quickly.
many people? So if you've got 6 people on a team, how many
So
less people would you need?
I would probably just need a one person to manage the system, just to, utilize it, manage it.
You
So
got one person, so you're going to be saving, $500,000 plus a
yeah,
year. right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so, and how much faster can they do production? So that one person, how do they compare to the six people in terms of production, getting
Oh,
the
uh,
getting the garments out?
90, we predict about 90% saving time. So if typically, that pattern maker will take that, hours and hours and hours to prepare the pattern, with our technology, it just, because it happens so quickly, and because automation and AI and technology, all of the predefined steps and concepts, we really predict that 90% is going to be saved between a concept and sketch to actual manufacturing time and
What
production.
about things like virtual try-on and augmented reality? Have you started down that path?
Oh, those are phenomenal, and this is something that definitely could integrate so quickly and easily with our
Because
technology as
that's what
well.
I'm thinking. If you did that, you could actually take it right out. People could see how they would look, instantly, and make some
Exactly.
decisions.
And that's the hyper personalization opportunity here, because everything is done, custom design is done so quickly, and with all of the components necessary to go to production using our technology, combined with virtual try on, was in addition to technology such as 3D knitting, 3D weaving, or any kind of on demand robotics or laser cutting, all of the automation that is so prevalent now and so available on the market today, combined pieces together, will enable hyper personalization at extraordinary scale.
So what about, you look at, I think Zara and Sephora are doing some of that, the now integrating AR for virtual experiences. But what about taking and using generative AI or AGI to be able to understand where the markets are going and to be able to adapt the clothing based on the market. So you're taking that large set of, millions of combinations and narrowing it down based on where the market is, and then you could do it regionally, right? Each market's a little bit different, and it could be hyper personalized down to a metropolitan statistical area, right? And down to the individual. But where do you see that going? How far down is it going to go? And is it going to be that the systems ultimately start generating clothes for you and you wouldn't even have to ask anymore? It would understand what you're going to need before you want it.
Gary, you said it. That is exactly where it's going. It is actually, this is the future. And think about this: current model is so broken. Five estimated $500 billion a year is being lost on overproduction of unsold inventory. $500 billion.
Wow.
Imagine that money is going to be pocketed. Beyond that is extremely unsustainable, because most of this clothing, where does it end up? Landfill. Well, now it's also being burned and incinerated, but ultimately it's landfill. So brands are hurting. Everybody's looking for a new way. Consumers are demanding personalization, because unfortunately we are not all cut, the same way, right? Made the same way, and as well as the preferences. So you literally said it exactly how I see it. Imagine the future where you're going to walk into the store, or it's going to be a commerce experience where you enter, just answer a few questions, and because of AR, because of smart mirrors, because of body scanning, within seconds, your desired preference is going to be created just for you. Then all you have to do is just kind of communicate with that. I adjust the color, add print, shorten it, lengthen it, whatever you like, however it is to fit your preferences, right? Place the order, and right there within 24 hours, because the factory, because of all the digital, all of the 3D knitting machines, all the V-wing machines that could be done, manufacturing could be brought back to the United States, enabling our people, enabling the economy here versus empowering economy somewhere in China, for instance. So in a way, it's incredible. It's localizing everything. It's creating customization beyond anything ever available in the past, where it is so perfectly customized to fit a consumer's preference, never seen before. And you're right, just by understanding consumers' preferences, for instance, what do we like? What kind of Pinterest or the kind of any kind of visuals that a consumer likes, right? Creates data for AI to process, so that AI becomes a custom designer for the consumer to constantly send new concepts, new ideas, new product ideas, or collections designed just for Gary, for instance,
No, I
just for
think I mean, the thing is, you look at it and, people want that. The problem has been in the past is that, like with sneakers, they would cost three times as much money to get them custom, designed, and they may or not fit perfectly. So having that, using 3D body scanners and IoT to get the accurate measurements for bespoke fashion is important. And then when you take things like wearable devices to be able to make real time adjustments, that could be, the icing on the cake. So you got really machine learning for the predictive analytics for the trend forecasting, right on one side of it, and then which really helps you do enhanced customer segmentation. And then you use an NLP to be able to, and chatbots to be able to talk to them, right? Have a real conversation, kind of like your grandmother, with compassion and empathy, and give them suggestions all the time so that you can go back through and kind of tweak, what you think they want and what they want, and then start making the offer. And I think the amount of people that are going to buy goes up, especially could be integrated with credit agencies and things. You could figure out how much money they have and what kind of fashions might be interesting for them, right? Where are they?
and their preference, like what are they willing to spend, whether credit or just their preference, just them answering the question, like how much am I willing to spend for a garment? Some people are shopping luxury and some people are shopping more economical, lower budget priced garments, which are fine either way. And what's really great about bespoke, look at this economy of scale. um, the issue is that, yes, the current model of low cost, extraordinary high volume, system, unfortunately doesn't work, because while the garments are low cost, but imagine actually disposing 40% of everything you've made. The losses you have are incredible. So at the bottom, you're losing. Bottom line, you're losing it, even if you have to pay a little bit more. So yes, handmade sneakers would cost, one by one would cost a lot more. But we're not talking about a machine that knits a garment in an hour. There's no way you can stitch a garment, or production
I
in
mean, the
that
thing
period.
is, and it may be that it's not done overseas anymore because the
There you
costs
go.
are so much more competitive, right? You could do it anywhere, right? It could be
Exactly.
done actually at some point. It could be done in your house, right? You start getting these printers, so you look at the future of AI in fashion. You look at things like sustainability, AI driven solutions that reduce waste and promote really eco-friendly materials, which we have
Exactly.
to think about. We don't think about that. The collaboration between tech and creativity, where we're blending the intuition with the tech to really redefine fashion.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're basically taking the old, the pre-factory. I mean, factories began in late 1800s, when the sewing machines were invented. Prior to that, everything was made hand, very bespoke, very custom. Before that, right? Then the late 1800s happened, early 1900s, and then the factory. We today are using the same methodology. Nothing changed. The only advance we've made is we brought the process from paper to digital, still using manual. So we're automating everything. Now instead of that human wasted effort and incredible unsustainable
Yeah, but there's so much
impact.
stuff that doesn't sell too, right? Because it isn't customized. We don't look at that. What is wasted? What part of the inventory in a retailer is basically thrown out or sent down to TJ Maxx or one of the other groups at a
Exactly.
really highly discounted price because it's out of season. Now you could be
Exactly.
right in, used to say just in time, but this is like literally just in time, real
It
time,
is
just in time.
real time, just in time. So the money, so bottom line, even if the product may cost a little bit more, maybe 10, 20% more, because we're using machinery, the product is knitted or done
You're
or
getting what you
woven in
want.
an hour,
You
you have
don't have to worry about it because you're getting what you want.
you get zero inventory.
Yeah.
You're holding zero stock. You're not losing any. Everything you sell, you make. Everything you sell. So
Well,
basically,
how much is that? What is a cost to so maybe the cost isn't really 10 or 20% more because the retailers doesn't have to throw away that on the manufacturer doesn't have to throw things away. So part of their cost is taken in consideration is there's going to be a lot of inventory doesn't sell. This time where there's nearly zero, right? How much does that add? It might actually equal the 10 to 20%, to be honest with you, maybe the same price.
actually, it exceeds it exponentially. We've done a little bit of a study of our own, and we found 78% margin increase
Wow,
by
that's great.
but not holding any inventory. It is insane. It is incredible. And
So
then returns are lower exponentially because the garment is, you scan the body. As long as we get the right measurements, we can draft that, we can fit that body. It's, very instantly, basically.
So
So
one of the big retailers going to pick up on this, the fashion designers. When are they going to pick up on this and demand it? So when do you think that transition will how long is it going to take them? Because the designers aren't going to like it because they're very artsy kind of folks and they're not going to want to give up their turf, right? Because they're going to lose their jobs.
it is a definitely sticky question. I'm predicting being 5 to 10 years, which I think is a little aggressive, but they'll have no choice. And the reason why I'll have no choice is because the companies that will do this are going to outperform any company that does not buy exponential financially, especially financially. How do you compete? How do you compete when you're so focused, when you can produce billions of options in seconds to fit each consumer individually without holding a zero garment in stock, and you can manufacture within 24 hours locally and deliver and ship to the consumer? How do
I
you
think
compete?
I think it's impossible to compete, but people don't get it. It's such a fundamental change to the way they think about. I mean, the other thing is about clothes is people like to go out and shop, right? They like to go to Costco or they like to go to TJ Maxx or to Gucci or wherever. They like to shop. For part of that is the experience of getting out of the house and meeting with people. But this thing, if it could bring hyper personalized and give you the kind of clothes you want at the time you want them. I mean, I would be there in a heartbeat because it's a pain trying to buy clothes, and then to know it's in fashion. I don't know because I'm not reading the magazines. Things change too quickly. Maybe
They change.
belt bottoms are in again, or they're not. Maybe these skinny jeans are in, or maybe they're not anymore. Maybe they're these hip huggers or whatever those ones that the rappers wear, where they're hanging down at their knees. So it's hard to say, but that's really interesting. And then making it appropriate for you so you're getting the right clothes at the right place at the right time so they're fit in so you're a middle-aged executive and you're going to an office party and there's a way you should look. You don't want to be overdressed or underdressed. It could actually go out to Facebook profiles and look at how people dress in your company and then come back with here's what I suggest, right? Because there's only certain. Yeah, it's interesting. So we're coming up to the top of the show. Tell us a little bit about what you think the future is over the next 5 years, and then how do people get a hold of you?
I think so. The future, I think it's going to be a little bit of a slower integration, and then it's like slow integration, but then exponential transformation. The way my plan is basically to provide software for large and small companies, businesses, brands, businesses, design, fashion houses, and enable them and allow them basically to do what they do now, but do it extremely quickly and extremely effectively and efficiently. Now, once they experience the kind of profit increase, the kind of effectiveness, rise in their performance, my next step is literally to provide them the second part of technology, which is going to also enable them to test, to kind of dip the toes in the water a little bit and test their bespoke fashion, basically at huge scale. And in addition to integrate with manufacturing facilities, specifically focusing on digital machinery, such as I said, 3D knitting or 3D weaving locally here in the United States. So that kind of creating an end-to-end experience for them so they can tip the toes in their water and just to see how does it work for them. Once they see success, Once they see starting to see success, they're going to start, and the profits, they're going to expanding that a lot faster, and adopting that technology was a lot better uh, speed than it is right now.
And how? What kind of? Who are the leaders in terms of fashion that are looking at these kind of technologies? What kind of companies would be the ones that would, cross the chasm first?
I mean, that would be right today would be companies that are focusing on basically mass produced clothing, but more of a luxury, maybe higher end, maybe contemporary luxury, any bridal gown companies, any kind of
Yeah, I
couture,
mean, the bridal gown's a tough thing, right? You
That's
go in there and they got, 1,000 different dresses, and you're trying to figure out which one. But if you could customize and get it quickly, and get exactly what you want. Hey, I like this in seashell kind of a color, and this is what I want on the sleeves. And all of a sudden, it's there, and you got it in 24 hours. I think actually they wouldn't believe it. It's so good.
Exactly. Well, so anyone, that would be my first kind of choices, right? Anybody who's doing bridal, anybody who's doing custom, or not custom, but like more evening gowns, maybe suits, bespoke suiting, um, shirting as well. Those are the kind of denim, maybe possibly like any challenging garments to fit. Uh, would be my first preference, and the larger brands definitely. And once they're successful, then slowly integrating and adopting into the market. And everybody I talk to right now, every company right now is interested in what AI has to offer. They're very clear that they cannot sustain the losses. They cannot sustain the giant dinosaur companies, huge companies that are, slight economy shift, and they are in the problems because they can't sustain the overhead, they can't sustain the losses, they can't sustain the 17-month lead times that are currently. Imagine what's happening now. Idea to shipment of a garment takes about 17 months. What can
Wow.
happen in 17-month period? How
No, that's great.
It's huge.
Yuliya, so how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out to you? Email, LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, absolutely. Pattern Fast. It's PATTERN fast.com. That's our website. Then Yuliya, it's my YULIYA.R at patternfast.com. LinkedIn is the best, wonderful place to reach me. Email is the best, absolutely the best way to reach me and get in touch with me. So, yeah, I'm ready.
All
We're
right,
ready
sounds
for
good. Well,
it.
thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. We
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
And thanks to all my audience for joining one more time. GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. My name is Gary Fowler, and I am your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back to you again next week with another exciting edition. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julie, and a happy holiday season to everybody.
Happy
Thank you.
holiday. Thank you.